Welcome back to Coffee with the Community. I'm Jody Roscoe,
I'm Heather Fisher.
and we are here today with Lauralee and Erich Schmidt with Schmidt Auto Care. And we're so excited to talk to you guys. I know Lauralee from a lot of networking we do around the community. And so tell us a little bit about your business.
Eric, do you want to talk about it since it's your baby?
I guess. So we're an all makes, all models repair service. We do everything from oil changes up to full engine replacements. No body work. We do get a lot of calls for body work, so we're only mechanical. Um, we do electrical repair, check engine light diagnosis, pretty much anything that has to do with the mechanical systems of your car. And then we also have an interesting ability to do the assisted driver systems in your cars. A lot of shops can't do that these days, but we actually have a system to recalibrate them. So we're a pretty full service shop.
Cars are so fancy these days. They have all the electronics and all the things, and it seems like it seems hard.
I was on the highway the
Yeah.
other day with out of town coming back, and every alarm on my car just was like,
Some
all failing. I'm like, what's happening?
Yep.
Yes,
Oh no.
beyond my
Yep.
scope. So need to come.
Yep. They'll make them dramatic for a reason, so you take it to the shop.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Well, it
Yeah.
seemed like every system was failing at once, so that that was
Yeah.
weird.
Yes, but need resources like you guys
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
So
Did you get home safe, or
I
to a
did.
shop safely? Okay.
Yes, yes. I think it was a warning failure, not the actual systems failing, but
Oh, okay.
it's terrifying when stuff
Yeah.
happens like that, and you need somebody that knows how to
Oh
do
my
it.
gosh, it is. It is scary.
yeah. So how long have you guys been in Springboro? Has this always been your hometown?
No, we actually started in Franklin down on 6th and River Street. That's actually before I even met Laura Lee. So we actually met during my adventures of starting up a company and somehow got her tangled up with it. But no, we started in 2009. I found a little two-bay shop in Franklin with the help of one of my old neighbors. And I always did some side work for him and told him, when I was working at the dealers, one day I'd like to maybe open a shop. I went to school to become a police officer. So I was gunning for that while I was at the dealership because I just was done with all of the dealership world. And then the housing market came about. So, '08, '07, 9. And
Jody
all your
knows that time well, I'm sure.
municipalities
It was amazing.
went
It
on
was such a
hiring
great time.
freezes. Yeah, so they went on hiring freezes, and that kind of locked me up for a potential for a job. Um, when you get certifications for a police officer, you get about a year, and so that's why you see police officers like in Harveysburg that more or less kind of freelance would be not the greatest word, but they donate their time there because they have to practice law. And if they don't practice law for that year, if I understood that correctly back then, they have to recertify. So they will take their time at other municipalities that have less money, or they call them reserves. So, like Franklin has a reserve program where they have police officers that will come in and fill in for police officers or do like general duties or things like that. But anyways, around that time we found this building and I just ended up continuing my path as a technician. And, I knew by that point in my life that I was relatively decent technician and knew some stuff. So it was kind of an easy transition instead of going towards a new career path. But yeah, so we got there and it took off, and boy, we had lots of ups and downs through the years, and we've had some big whoopsies. And I think anybody that's ever owned a business or deeply managed a business would understand that. But there's an element of stress to building a company, especially a company of the size we're trying to build and grow in different communities. It's a stress I don't think a lot of people understand.
I feel you
So
in my bones.
We do.
yeah, I'm sure you do.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And we love the people that are with us on this journey, and we want great things for them, and we want to grow. And there's, sometimes we make, mistakes as we go along the way. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's amazing days when you're like, oh, this is working today. And,
I know from
Yeah.
chatting with Lauralee at various times and knowing a little bit, from her perspective of your business, you guys have a big focus on your employees and being a great place for people to work and your customer service. Tell us about your favorite part of your business.
Yeah, so it's kind of evolved, as I've gotten older, I've gotten less interested in repairing cars. It's hard on your body, and it's very time consuming, and it doesn't allow me as an owner to get out and do the things I need to do to grow my company because I'm so intertwined in things, with all those lights that came on in your dash. That takes a lot of brain power to diagnose and figure out and get these things recalibrated and make sure you follow the steps. And these things are mobile rocket ships too, so you can't mess up on them. So you have to pick what you want to do in our industry. If you're going to be a diagnosing tech, that's what you need to do because you need to keep your head fully in the game. And as when you run a company, you're getting pulled in 500 different directions all the time. You've got, what are we doing with the business? Where's the vision of the business going? Then you have the annoying tribal knowledge, right? Where everybody comes to you and says, hey, what do we do in this situation? Because it's impossible to put all your tribal knowledge in a process or an SOP, right? So that's something that evolves and I think naturally occurs over time as your staff sticks with you. So it's one of those things where it's really important for me to treat staff and employee, staff and clients really well. I was not in a good situation in the dealerships that I worked in. I worked for some really great independent shops that had some great people in it. I think that the operations sometimes were a little bit lackluster, meaning that they were there to fix cars and that was it. They helped with the community and worked with the community, but it was just the standard old shop you'd always know, engines sitting on the floor and kind of dirty floors, and I don't want my company to do that. I want to be able to do events for our community. I want them to be able to freely come into our shop. I want my shop to stay to where if you want to come and do a tour of my shop is presentable, right? It's not something, does our shop get dirty? Of course it does. We have, 4 or 5 guys working in the back slinging, 3 to 4 or 5 cars a day out of there and it gets dirty. But for the most part, our culture is really self regulating. And so the guys clean on their own and they organize the shop on their own. And, but that comes with treating your employees really well, right? And generating this really great culture that is self-regulating. And we really struggled to get that culture for a long time. And I think if you've done business with us for a long period of time, you've seen our culture changes and our swings up and down, and people being, for the most part, unhappy and happy because, sometimes the stress elevation inside the building goes up when we're building this culture. And, at the end of the day, this kind of emanates out into general public, right? So people see those things.
I think
so
culture
you have to be really careful with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, culture is so important. I mean, that's something that we really try to cultivate with the people that are in our orbit as well. And I think that does then result in a great client experience when you have the culture. It starts from within and it starts from the top. And so I love all of that. So Lauralee, tell me your favorite marketing things that you're doing, or, I know you do a lot of marketing and you do a lot for the community.
Yeah. Really, the community is our favorite part.
Ours too.
When we are able to do like events, like in the fall, we have Tiny Techs coming back, a STEM fest for little kids. We've done the Mother's Drive-In, the Odyssey Party. We've done 15-year parties and 10-year parties. Thank God we were able to stick it out that long. Anytime we can bring something back to the community, that's when I get really excited. But I do also like the points that he made when people when they say, like, can we tour your shop because they want to see where their car is going? Because we do welcome that. You should see where your car is going. I love when they walk through the back and they're like, whoa, like your shop looks amazing. Like it's clean. Like look at all these cars. Like there's really good technology. Like that's big for us because we worked really hard to get there. And then to have a happy team
Yeah.
to show off. Like they're not miserable people. They're passionate people who love their jobs and they're so smart. And I feel so blessed that Eric and I, like, yeah, we chipped away a lot. We've had people who were less than in the company for sure. And I'm sorry if you had to experience those people. But we have an excellent core right now that just all have a heart to give back. And it's so great to be able to give back with passionate people giving back. That makes such a difference. That's my favorite part of the whole thing.
Love that.
I love that too. I think that that is definitely a journey as, you're building your business and we've been building ours. I think business owners have the same issues. And so, yeah, I just love that that's your thought process around it and that it does take time to get there and find those people. But that if that's your focus, then you will get there. And I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to keep chipping away, right? And sometimes you have to play chess a little bit and like this person doesn't fit here, maybe they fit here, or maybe this idea sucked completely and we don't do that again. Like you all have been through the same thing. I know we have talked so much about building processes. You all are very process oriented as well. Sometimes those don't work. You got to start that over.
Yeah.
So you just chip away at it. But in the last 2.5 years, the business has been what we wanted it to be from the beginning.
I love that. It's amazing when your vision starts coming to life and you feel that and the pride that you have around that and the pride that the people that are on that journey with you have around it is awesome.
Yeah.
It's
Sure.
all about your people. Last night, when we were closing up the shop, we've been a little bit slower this week and had some cancellations. So we've had some unusual space in between things, and so that allows me running the front counter to get up and go see how guys are doing and talk to them a little bit in between things where I normally wouldn't have that time. And we were talking about something like this between my foreman and one of our very animated tech, Spencer. And I really appreciate, and I told him this. I was like, man, you're the one dude that I've like worked with in my life that really makes people want to come to work. Like you bring an energy to work that like I've not really seen much at all in my industry. And he's a really unique guy, and when he's not feeling well, you know it real quick because he's quiet, but he's an animated dude and he will go back there and do a whole song and dance for you while he's working. And he's just
Like
a
a whole
lot of
show
fun.
tune scene while
He
building
is,
an
man,
engine.
and
It's
That's
amazing.
amazing. It
he's
is.
just a lot of fun. And I told him last night, I was like, dude, I know that nobody tells people this a lot. I was like, but we really appreciate your energy. I said, you bring an energy that's unlike anybody else. And I said, you make this team. I said, I hope you understand how important that is to this team. And
That appreciation goes such a long way to
yeah,
make
for
people just
sure.
feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just don't see it in our industry, and it's sad, and that's why I want to change it. We, on top of the poor education to clients in our industry and the shenanigans some of the shops pull with people, and the lack of transparency and the lack of process in their business that makes things confusing for the client. I don't want none of that, man. Like all of that is super stressful, and I just really wish our industry leaders it's catching on, it's changing. We have a lot of friends in the industry that's really pushing what we're doing all over the country, but at the end of the day, getting these other industry leaders, even in our community, to understand these things of how these shops should run and how clients should be treated and how transparency should work. It's painful sometimes to be as transparent as we are, and sometimes we have to absorb some money. But in the long run, it makes the difference, and it makes your clients happy. It makes your employees happy, and there's no surprises.
Well,
For
that's
me to
the
call somebody and say there's a $6,000 bill on your car, it's unfortunate, and it's a hard call to make, and we have to make those calls quite a bit because of our cars are very expensive today. But all I can do is give you the information, be as transparent as possible, and let you make that decision and help guide you with education through that decision. We have two cars right now that are costing us a fortune personally, and I'm
So
not very
fun.
happy about it either, but it's just one of those things. And the thing with me is everything's transparent and repair for my cars because I'm the one doing it.
Yeah.
And it's even that much more painful because I know the actual full implications of some of these things. And, it just kind of stinks sometimes. So I sympathize with the people that have engine failures and have these big failures, but it is part of driving and it's part of life. And unfortunately, our parts in our cars are not getting better right now. They're getting worse. So,
And more
it's just one
expensive
of those
while they're
things
getting worse.
where and how we treat people and how we carry ourselves is going to make the difference in
Well, and
how
I think
people
that
repair.
education, that client education is so important too, because I think that there are, there is in car repair, there are people feel like they can be taken advantage of. And we're in
Yeah,
that same boat with realtors. People think, we whatever. So I hear you in all of that. And all we can do is know that we're doing the right thing
that's
and
right.
be as honest and putting their needs first. And it sounds like that's what you're doing, which I love. I love all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So for all the people who love what you're saying and want to be part of that, amazing service and connect with you guys for their needs, is scheduling online preferred or calling? What's the best way for someone to get into your orbit?
So we have a multitude of ways. You can send flying pigeons if you wish. We've got online schedulers. You can go to our Google page, through our website. The website is new and we just redid it and it's beautiful. So please check that out. So you can schedule that way. We do prefer appointments. We are a hard shop to walk into. We try to keep like a little bit of space for like an emergency walk-in, but for the most part, we do have a pretty tight bay flow going. So we do prefer a scheduled appointment, but you can do it online. You can give us a call. If you're a member of our app, which we do have a free app for our shop for our customers, to keep all their garage history in, you can directly communicate it with us with the app. So there's a couple of different ways. We're easy to find.
Say where you're located.
285A Hiawatha Trail in Springboro, directly across from OSA.
Yep. Okay. So if you could describe your business in 3 words, what would they be?
Oh, integrity, excellence, and superior service.
She's got them down. I love it. Those are
I
I
good
guess
words.
that's 4, superior service, but
Yeah, but it's 3 concepts.
We'll hyphenate them.
Integrity. Say it again. Integrity.
excellence and superior service. That's our 3 pillars of our culture, and it's what we really try to live inside of.
So since you could rattle them off so easily, I know that that is your focus, and that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah,
Our whole team can rattle them off to you.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so good.
I love that. Thank you so much for chatting with us today, you guys. We just love your focus
Yeah.
on, both your employees and your clients
And the community.
the community. It's a great business model. So thank you again.
Yep. Good to talk to you guys.
All right.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.